Greetings, esports enthusiasts, players, and League of Legends fans. I'm Mark Zimmerman, and I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of Late Night League, a show that carefully curates the news and happenings in the world of League of Legends esports. Our aim is to combine the passions and excitement of the LCS games with the lighthearted feel of a late-night talk show. Only it's at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The show will consist of top stories that we deem to be vital esports knowledge, as well as discussions with guests, games, and whatever else we can think up over here. On the show today, we'll be talking about Riot's ruling on G2 and Fnatic, Pobelter's cringeworthy interview after losing in the Gauntlet, Immortal's plan for the future, and the World's Group draw. Late Night League starts right now. So now we get to cover the news of the week. As I'm sure most of you have heard about, there was a ruling by Riot regarding a loan between Jens Hilger, a minority owner of G2, and Sampa, Fnatic's parent company. The chance of ownership and financial ties caused people to compare it to the Renegades ruling. Now, it's difficult to say from the outside just how similar the situations are, since Riot never really shared any evidence regarding the Renegade situation. The good news is that esports industry experts did an excellent job of breaking down the situation, like how loans can't be reversed. Well, except they can, as you can unwind a loan, which means the client broker correct a mistake, where usually the broker needs to eat any losses incurred. It's hard to know what those losses are without knowing the terms of the deal, so I'll just avoid all speculation. All joking aside, Riot used some really bad terminology, so it's hard to fault people for getting caught up. It's an interesting read or video by Thorin, but it just needed that little correction. Continuing on, Cloud9's Impact said in an interview that he believes he is better now than when he won the World Championship, so it's better to call him C9 Impact instead of SKT Impact. It's always fascinating to discuss how players have gotten better as the scene has evolved. Players in the scene today are generally considered much further ahead than players in Season 3, but relative to Impact's prime, it's difficult to know if he's actually further ahead of his peers or not. It's tough to debate because he was arguably the best top laner in Season 3, and I can think of at least one other serious contender waiting for him at Worlds this year. Hopefully we get to see that C9 versus Rox matchup. That's all the news that I care about, but we'll dig into more of this in a minute. Now let's see what my co-host has to say about some of this. I'd like to introduce the Travis Gafford. Say hello, Travis.
Hello, Travis.
Did I introduce Freak or Travis? That was terrible.
Oh, wow. Thanks. Yeah. No, I also don't know why you have the show, by the way. That's Yahoo Esports is like my whole thing. I think I was supposed to be the host, and somehow I've become the co-host.
Well, I think you hired me to do it because you realize I'm just better than you.
All right. Let's get into the topics.
Okay. I don't know if you saw, but Pobelter did an interview after losing in the regional qualifiers, and the way he gave his answers were very short and abrupt if it felt like he didn't want to talk about the topic.
This was a Scar, right?
Yeah, this was the interview with Scar.
Sometimes I have a hard time remembering my own interviews, so I didn't know.
You can't remember interviews you haven't seen, of course.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so anyway, this is like a Marshawn Lynch kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's a Marshawn Lynch deal
sports
where
reference I know.
That's because I made it earlier.
Okay.
But he was very, very short and didn't answer anything. If Scar was like, "Why do you think you guys lost?" All he would say is like, "They're the better team." And I was, as a journalist and interviewer yourself, I was wondering if you had any experience with this, and what's your impression when someone you're interviewing kind of doesn't seem comfortable being there?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? So we knew that Immortals I remember that day, right? Because Immortals had just lost, and it's hard to figure out, when you should request an interview with these guys, because a loser's interview can actually be way more interesting than a winner's interview. But in that situation, the vibe I was getting was that this was not going to be that good. I even remember at first they declined all the interviews, and then they came back to it. So it's just rough, right? You have to play it off. Scar's been doing this for only about a split now. I think he'll get more comfortable in those moments. But yeah, it's really rough whenever you have to do an interview with somebody who doesn't want to do it.
Right. I mean, I think Scar did a good job because, Scar, he's just like, I want to talk about the game. He's like so excited, and then to like run up against this like brick wall that was Pobelter in that situation. It was just so difficult to watch. Have you ever been in that situation where you had to deal with someone who was just not in it at all? Yeah,
oftentimes there are players, I mean, it's not unheard of for players who only want to play the game and only focus on that to then have to do an interview because, sponsors or organization really wants them to do it. It's just the kind of thing where then you have to try to like get energy out of them. That's what's so hard about a loser's interview, is that it's difficult because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, their emotional state can vary a lot.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Immortals, we also saw that Noah Winston put out a video where he was talking about his plans for Immortals in the rest of the season or year going forward. And there were a couple interesting things. The one that I thought the most interesting was the fact that he said that his players would be able to function as position coaches for other teams attending Worlds. So it's cool because it lets the players get some more practice-ish time together, and they can see other environments, different things like that. But it's also, it's a little bit of good for Noah because it's good PR. It lets his players see how other teams function. What were your thoughts on that whole situation?
I mean, I think it's really cool, right? Because oftentimes it's really weird because if you get to go to Worlds, your team lives on for so long. Because also probably if you're good, you get to go to All-Stars afterwards and all that stuff. Otherwise, you're just done for the end of the year.
You get like a 4-month break.
Yeah. It's just like nothing happens, right? So this is a cool way for Immortals to stay relevant. And then, I mean, you have former coaching experience at Team Liquid. Do you think that this is
I'm familiar?
Some of that stuff. Do you think that this is beneficial for the players?
Yes, I think it's beneficial for 2 reasons. One, it keeps the players engaged. Whenever we missed Worlds, people all just went into this funk. They didn't want it. They just all went and did something that wasn't league related.
Right.
So you get to keep them out of that funk a little bit. And on top of the fact, you just get to see how other teams function. So assuming there's problems with other teams, maybe it makes you look better, or you just pick up some stress that other teams do.
No, I think it's cool.
My question for you also is, what do you think about the legality of it in a sense? Because Riot has been pretty uptight about players directly interacting in a professional setting where I'm helping this team or we're discussing salaries or something like that. Do you think there's any concerns about said legality?
I mean, player coaching is not a position that's recognized officially in the book, so ultimately they can do whatever they want. I think it's awkward if the teams start paying the players. That's where you'd have issues, but there's no evidence that that's what's happening right now. All
right, well, now it's time for some additional news that we suggest all you Summoners check out on the Yahoo Esports page located at esports.yahoo.com.
That's a great plug, by the way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Travis, I know you can't wait to make this about yourself. Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, actually, more than thoughts, I actually have a video that I brought, and we'll do this, and we'll show it up in just a second. But for some context, 2 days ago on Saturday, I was at the World's group draw and had a chance to sit down with some of the casters afterwards to talk about what they thought. As this is a show that's filming in North America, I think a lot of our audience here would probably be excited to see what people think are TSM's chances at Worlds. So anyway, here's Jat sort of talking about that.
I think TSM, I was a little bit worried about them. I think it's a little bit more worrisome when they're in a group with Chinese and Korean teams for obvious reasons, but I still think they're the favorite in the group. I think their practice is going to go well. I don't think they have any motivation problems. Bjergsen is top 2 mid laner at the tournament, I feel like. I'm a little worried about Hanser in the top lane. I think Doublet and Biofrost are going to be solid. It doesn't seem like they necessarily get affected too much by nerves, and I think they're solidly into the quarterfinals, but it's a tough group and probably the second worst they could have hoped for. Switch SKT with Samsung, and it's the worst possible group.
I love how he said he had to worry about China and Korea, but didn't mention Europe. Splice just not on his radar at all.
I mean, they're 3rd seed, right? So
I mean, they didn't even get a 1 seed technically.
Yeah.
I mean,
now I know you are the host of the show, but if I get to throw a question to you, what do you think of Jat's opinions on TSM and with that group?
The thing that surprised me was he kind of doubted Hanser a little bit, and I think that Hanser is kind of shown, minus Impact, who seemingly awoke in the playoffs and became a god. He fares fine against competition generally. I think sometimes he can get exploitable, but it was usually in lane swap situations where he's not where he's supposed to be, and with those out, he's a pretty reliable laner. So I think he'll do just fine. I mean, I haven't watched all the regions yet. I still have to do my Worlds prep, so I'm a little less sure. I
am really hopeful for TSM at Worlds this year. I mean, they seem to be North America's shining beacon, and everybody beacon of hope, I guess. And one of the other things that's in that interview, the full part of it will be up on esports.yahoo.com, as you plugged.
Thank you.
Yeah. But it's really interesting to sort of see the fact that it seems like almost every region has a pretty good chance. Deficio pretty biased, but in that video he was saying G2 is a pretty good hope for Europe.
I mean, it's true because I think this is one of the few times that there weren't crazy groups. Most of them seem to have one favored one spot and a favored 2, but someone else who might take it. So I think in that sense, in that group, G2 was kind of the one to look at to get out at the 2's position.
Yeah, no group of death.
Yeah, well, now that the news is fresh in our minds, let's take a moment to break down some League of Legends gameplay in a segment that we call Hindsight. Our focus for Hindsight this week is a game-breaking fight from the Cloud9 vs. Immortals series in the final round of the regional qualifiers. It happened in Game 4, so you could call it almost a series-deciding fight because after this fight concluded, C9 really had control over the rest of the game. So I want to take a look at exactly what went wrong for Immortals, considering that they're a team that usually excels in these situations. So we're going to go back to the beginning of the play and look at a couple things. The first thing that I want to point out is the fact that Cloud9 have control in both the mid and bottom lanes and are going to try and use that priority to invade on the enemy blue buff. Now, usually just having the priority is enough for this to be a safe invade, but there are a couple things that I want to point out that are going for Immortals. The first one is the fact that there's an excellent TP ward right behind the entrance ramp so that Huni, who's in base right now getting a really nice item timing purchase off, can come in and join this fight. On the flip side, Impact is stuck topside pushing out a wave, so he's not quite on the same item power. The other thing I want to point out is the fact that they have a Taliyah, who can basically join the fight anywhere on the map. So those things are going to make this what should be a fairly safe fight for Immortals to come try and collapse and fight it. But they're going to make 3 critical mistakes in this fight that are going to turn it against them. The first one to point out is that while the Taliyah ult is a good idea, it doesn't actually go far enough to block off the entrance, which is going to allow Cassiopeia to come in and join this fight and basically take it over. The other thing he could have done better is actually take the wall in, assuming he actually, cuts the entrance off. It can be scary as a Taliyah to come into a fight, just close melee range, but Immortals has a number of defensive options, so they should be able to protect Pobelter once he ends up in the middle of the team. Unfortunately for them, they don't use those abilities correctly. The first thing that they do incorrectly, of course, comes from Adrian. If you keep your eye on him throughout this fight, he almost never ults at the right time. He holds it till it's very, very late. And the move is very telegraphed, so it can be scary to drop it right at the beginning of a fight, but it's better to use it too early and negate some damage as opposed to too late and just blow up like you see what happens on your screen there. The third and final thing that goes wrong for them is the fact that their exhausts are all still up at the end of the fight. It feels really, really bad to lose a fight when you basically could have done more to try and win it. And assuming that Taliyah ended up in the middle of the fight right at the beginning, used her exhaust with a Taric ultimate coming on top, they would have been able to win this fight very easily. It's strange to see them lose, and maybe that's why Pobelter felt like C9 was the better team overall. After C9 won this fight, they won the series, and now C9 is going to Worlds, and we're going to go take a break. We'll see you in a minute. We are back again. Hope you didn't miss us too badly, and if so, then we suggest you find a hobby like esports.
That's so bad. Please don't ever do that again.
Yeah,
that
I heard
terrible.
you put that in the script. Friend.
I did not do that.
Oh, well. Then I have to talk to somebody else.
Sure.
Okay, this is the part of the show that I like the best, and so does Travis, because he can ask his 45 minutes worth of questions.
And they're all good. They're all good questions.
That's just what people tell you.
They're real.
We are saving the best for last, and that's why we got him first. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce today's special guest, Sam Kobe Hartman-Kenzler.
What's up, Travis?
How's it going? Good to see you.
Pretty good. Hello, Mark.
Hey, friend. How's it going? Good, good. How are you doing today?
Quite well. I mean, when people usually go on David Letterman late night or something like that, they're always very excited to be there because it's an established show, and you get something out of it, some
So
PR or something.
You're disappointed?
This is a new show, so I'm comfortable with saying that I'm okay with being here.
You're
But
okay.
you get to found it. You get to help
Yeah,
found it.
you get to decide how great this becomes. Anyways, before we get into it, the first question I want to ask you is, what do you think was the best addition to the NALCS summer broadcast this season?
The summer broadcast, I like Azael, our new caster.
So, all right, it's been great having Sam on the show. That's all the time we have for him. No,
I actually like Azael too. He's the best.
Yeah, well, for being honest, then yes, he's very nice.
I mean, I played a lot of WoW, actually.
You respect him
a
a little
lot
bit?
of WoW, yeah, during vanilla and stuff like that. So definitely knew who he was. Definitely respected him.
The
for
"Let
that.
Me Cast" meme is probably actually the best meme that's come out of this.
I just learned that I started that. I had no idea.
Because you were cutting him off or something?
Yeah, I was the one that didn't let him talk.
Well, luckily you're the guest today, so you'll be doing plenty of talking. The first thing I want to ask you about is just the group draw. You were there, right?
Yes, I was there.
Any big takeaways for it? Or?
It actually looked pretty good for Europe. Because SKT is the strongest 2 seed, and Cloud9 I thought was the strongest 3 seed, and Europe avoided both of those.
Right.
So I thought it was actually pretty favorable for them, considering they don't have a number 1 seed.
And what do you think about NA's chances? I mean, Europe, you think is going to have an easier
So
time?
to me, everybody's like, oh, TSM, they got almost the group of death, like almost the worst draw possible. But to me, TSM this year is shooting, very high. So I feel like you have to prove yourself. You have to be able to get out of that group and beat those teams anyway. We'll learn early on then. Group stages are going to determine a lot.
Right. Do you feel like there really is a group of death this Worlds? Because I always think a group of death is where it's like there's 3 teams and only 2 can get out, but 3 really should. Whereas when I look at Group D, I'm not sure that at least 3 teams should get out of there, but can't.
A lot of people, that's because a lot of people are pretty down on RNG right now. I think China number 2. Spawn has been, talking them down a lot too. They have been a lot weaker in summer, but the players are so good.
Right. I mean, you see Uzi.
You just have to feel like they should be able to bring this together. They're doing a boot camp, so I feel like it is a pretty, as close to the group of death as we're gonna get, or as we did get.
Yeah, kind of going along this, what do you think about the playoff system as a whole with the circuit points? There's been a little bit of drama about if CLG or IMT should have gone, given that they kind of qualified despite losing in the playoffs.
Spring matters, summer matters,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
How do you feel about that? Do you like the system?
Looking at how Immortals actually lost to Cloud9 twice, and the kind of the collapse of Immortals in playoff scenarios, they also collapsed in spring, and we wanted to make spring matter, right? So. We're kind of rewarding CLG for being good at some stage in this year of League of Legends, right? And Worlds, the patch changes up again, pretty big patch changes. So, you have to be flexible if you're going to be a pro League of Legends team. And at worst, you would say, oh, our 4th team is going, and that's not like a...
I mean, CLG were the underdogs at MSI, and nobody believed in them,
Exactly.
and then they ended up doing really well. Maybe they'll be the best NA team at Worlds.
These players have proven they can perform at the highest level, and I really have a lot of faith in CLG boot camps.
I mean, you always do, I think, right? Lots of faith
obviously.
in CLG.
Although I did not pick CLG to get out of the group, which I got blasted for on Twitter.
There's too much CLG Kobe.
By Zixi people. See, I'm not biased because yes, I do think they'll have a good boot camp, but I didn't think it was going to be the most likely outcome.
Getting a little more personal for a second, people always talk about you being like the most genuine caster in a sense. Is that something?
All the other ones are fake, completely scripted. I'm the only real one here. Travis can attest to it.
Travis is the most scripted person I think I've ever.
This is all just me telepromptering. I'm reading a teleprompter right now that tells me to say this one thing. So
I'm trying to make sure that your opening show is not complete garbage.
Well,
you're doing a terrible job of that.
It's all falling apart.
Is that something you aim for a little bit, just to be more genuine, or does it just come natural? Because like some analytical casters try to be analytical. Are you trying to be genuine?
Trying to be genuine.
It's kind of weird that idea.
It is a real weird wording, and it was actually pretty funny. I saw that Reddit thread that was like, oh yeah,
it's like watching with your friends.
It's funny because that's actually when I started. That was what, that was something I was aiming for, because a lot of the analytical casters will try and do this lecture-y style.
Right, like it's a class.
Yeah, everybody's trying to prove how smart they are. I've been through an engineering program though, and I've had people lecture me. I'm pretty done with that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and I learned pretty early on that casting to me it's not science. It's science plus performance art, basically.
Right.
So I try and do mix in a little bit of both, because you always do want people to learn something, and you just try and get some entertainment in there as well.
When we were on the desk for the Toronto event, when you called Bjergsen no dum-dum, I was like, who says that? Like, it's just such a great...
Because he's not, right?
Yeah, it's such a great style. Anyways, Kobe, it really is great having you on the show. We're so excited that we dug up a little something special, some highlights from your casting career that really combines your expert insight with that personality that we were talking about. So let's roll the clip.
No, it's gonna be chilling up here. Wow, like, this is weird. Cursor, so
that's a giant wave.
He's not even pushing it. Okay, here comes the TP though. Dominate forced to jump away.
Oh
Slow
man, that TP sucked.
Yeah, it's gonna give a free turret there to Quas in the top lane. It's gonna be turret for Dragon.
Sometimes the TP does suck, and what more to that play was there?
I mean, like, yeah, why didn't they take it? They thought the Thresh was gonna go in. No,
the
just that
response
TP
was
sucked.
Genuine response, I think, to that moment. I think.
And the thing is, like, I've never said something similar to that ever before. Like, that's just a one isolated
That's what's great
event.
about you.
Yeah, it's just.
Speaking of things that are great about you, I hear you're pretty good at the telestrator. I think we have another clip to just highlight how good that is.
Trying your hand at it as well.
Yeah, I think you have a leg up on me though. Let's check it out.
This is where
you can see Curse's unity. They turn all 5 members into a fist, and they just ram it right into Dignitas, smash this team fight away. All of them are just going to scatter because they saw Renekton with their other wards back here. It's going to be a 4-on-5. Curse are super confident. They're just going to ram right in. St. Vicious here, going to come in, flips over Skara. All right, let's reverse this and see what they do. St. Vicious is going to take a lot of damage, but he's Volibear.
The first thing to me is that these clips are pretty old. You can see the old Summoner's Rift on this, but yes.
I love the crew in the background laughing.
It's because that was one of the first, that's when we first got the Telestrator. And I was actually the first one to, try it out with team fights and drawing on it and stuff. And our producer afterwards was like, okay, we're going to have a talk, right? You can only draw something like that on my show one time. You get one time, you can draw that. That was it. That was my one time.
Well, you tend to have some of the wrong stuff on the mind, I think. And this next one's gonna show that you sometimes wander a little bit.
Like you said, Kobe, 3-1 on both sides. And both teams really looking to break.
The fly's undone. Smithy.
No!
You're on camera, bud.
That's why CPDQ.
I'm a bro. See, I'll tell you if there's something in your beard, Rip.
Nothing in your teeth. You're good.
Clean.
You're good.
That's not Smithy. That's not me.
Well, that's the thing I like is that you're like legitimately concerned, trying to yell, because that's just like the audio goes through the whole place.
Yeah.
Hopefully he hears you. Like, Smithy, your pants.
You're on camera.
Help. You should have got someone to help him out. Get the ref up there or something.
Our referees, I don't know if they're paid that much.
All right, so now that we've had our fun, work some troll out of our system for today, we do want to do a little game to test your esports knowledge. So you've probably seen how these kind of games work before. If you wouldn't mind passing that down to Travis.
Yeah,
we have
to arbitrate.
Great title, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Guess the game.
GG guess game. Well, Travis, you can give him the title
game.
for the specific
Straight
one.
to the point.
This specific game is called Blind Pick. And I came up with it. You'll see in a second why I called it Blind Pick.
We have that in our game already.
What, in PTL?
It's not like he came up with
Blind Pick, that League of Legends.
Yeah.
It's a pun.
We have several different guess games. This one is called Blind Pick.
Anyways, we got to get
Mark's
into it.
Mark's going to do it.
So we've written down some champion names on the card. It's a pretty familiar game to most people. You and I are going to have cards. We're going to go against each other. We try and guess what it is based off yes or no questions.
Don't let Mark see this.
Okay.
That was mine.
Yeah. Wait, he puts that one's on
I'll
his
have
head.
this one on my head. That one's going to be for you. You get 5 questions before we have to guess it. If you get it right, you get a point. If you get it wrong or go over your questions because you're not counting.
We're doing 5 of these?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, 5 questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stick it on your forehead.
Stick it on your forehead.
Well, yours is upside down. You got to switch it.
What about mine? Is mine right?
Yes,
yeah,
yours is good.
That goes
go
right
for
up
it.
there.
All right.
All right, you go first. Ask me questions.
About mine?
Yes.
Am I male or female?
You're a male.
Okay. Am I released in the last 4 months?
Yes.
AD or AP?
AD. Don't look at the monitors. Don't cheat.
What lane am I most usually played in?
Yes or no questions.
Oh, yes or you? Mid lane. Am I mid lane champion?
No.
How many questions have I had?
You've got 4, so one more.
Am I?
So literally 4 months. You
Let's
can do
just
this.
ask anything.
Am I a jungler?
No.
Okay, so not a mid laner or a jungler.
You have to guess now.
Guess.
Okay, and I'm a new champion.
Yes.
Jeez, I think
The newest champion is Kled.
Boom.
Yeah, okay,
You got
great.
it.
You have 1 point.
I got it?
Yeah,
Yes.
all right. Travis will
Good
get you
job.
another card.
Ah!
Now you help me. Help me.
It's easy.
All right, am I male or female?
You are male.
Am I human?
That wasn't a yes or no, but keep going.
I gave him too much info.
Yeah, you did. I like the inflection there.
Go.
Are you am I
Yeah, we're
a
supposed to be
Yordle?
fast.
Am I a Yordle?
You're not a Yordle.
Am I a lizard?
See, I'm helping here. You're not a lizard.
Am I meta?
You're not meta.
Okay.
You need to keep track so you do this thing.
Go.
Am I?
I looked at that one.
All right, get him a new
one.
one. Get him a new one. Am I kindred?
You're not kindred.
Okay.
All right. We're getting more ones. Here we go.
He's meta. What the?
He's not meta.
Yeah, Jensen played him twice in the
Jensen.
finals.
That's not meta. We're going to Worlds. He's not Worlds meta.
All right.
All right.
Here's
Here we go.
Here's your next one.
I didn't
see
quite
it.
see
You're a
that
mess.
one.
It's upside down.
Yeah, it's
Switch.
upside down.
Switch it. There we go. We're good.
All right, let's go.
Male or female?
Female.
80 carry?
No. Because Because you're not a marksman. I'll give
Okay,
you that
I'm
one.
not a marksman.
Yeah.
So I am AD.
Yeah, so that's why it was a little.
That was pretty free.
Yeah,
And
I'm a nice guy. Yes.
Yours is distracting me.
Just don't think about it.
Am I played in the mid lane?
Sometimes.
Sometimes played in the mid lane. Female AD not AD carry, but AD champion. Oh, this game is so hard.
Just go, man. Just.
Don't
worry about it.
Do I buy a black cleaver?
Yeah, usually.
I think that's it.
Yeah, usually buy a black cleaver.
I lost count, but go for it.
Okay, he's cutting
your
it.
guess.
I don't even know. What's a mid lane female?
Sometimes mid lane.
Sometimes mid lane.
Sometimes other lanes.
Guess. You gotta guess. Just blurt it out.
I give up Rek'Sai.
No.
No. I don't know. You're Riven.
Oh, mid lane.
All right, last one.
That's okay.
Where's she debut in the competitive scene?
ahead.
Really?
Last one.
Your turn.
Am I male?
No.
Am.
That was a good first question.
Yeah, it is.
I'll take that.
Everyone
All
does that for
guests are gonna
every.
guess on
Not
that.
even League of Legends ones. They do that. All right.
This is so hard.
This one's hard.
No, this game is
Oh,
hard.
okay. Am I human?
You are whom?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
you're human. Okay.
And I'm female.
You're female.
And
Yes, too. I
That's
think
actually
that's
three.
three.
Wait, I
That's
can't. I
you
can't
used the same
clarify
one.
an old
Yeah.
one. All right.
Keep going.
He's
Keep
the
going.
arbitrator.
Two more. Two more.
Am I a mid laner?
Yes.
Am I AP?
Yes.
Am I?
That's it. You gotta guess.
That's not very much.
I know, right?
Yeah, jeez.
We'll keep asking the same questions.
Am
We need
I
to get
Kale?
better ones.
Oh
saw-
my God! No, he
You
didn't.
saw
I don't
through
think
the
he saw
card
it.
or something.
There's
There's
no
no way you get that.
I might have seen that.
Oh my God!
I'll admit to
Whatever.
I'll admit
That
to
means he's the winner because you cheated.
right. Kobe.
I purposely answered the "Are you AP?" question yes instead of being like, hybrid.
You should have said hybrid.
Okay, you little cheater.
Well, you cheated. You should have said. Yeah, no. Anyways, you are the winner, Kobe. We have this excellent prize for you. It is a broken Pulsefire Ezreal statue.
Sick.
You
I
get
only
the-
have the one that's actually not broken, so the
Right, so
broken
this is,
one is
yeah,
gonna
it's
be
actually
new.
probably more rare than
Great,
the other one. So here you go. That is for you. If you come back next week, you can win the other half of it.
Sweet.
This is up for grabs.
When I win that, I'll pick up the first half.
Yeah, we'll just keep that in storage for you.
thanks.
Well, Kobe, thank you for coming out again. It has been a real pleasure. Come back and see us sometime. Goodbye.
All right.
Travis, you are swell as well.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome for having a first episode that wasn't complete.
Yeah. No. At the end, it got really bad.
Yeah. Well, that is all the time we have on Late Night League. But T. Gafford and the rest of our handsome/talented esports brain trust will be with you right after the break for Tilted. Please tune back in next week for more news, more me, and other loud noises. With that, we will leave you with something we found in the annals of true esports history. For all of us at Late Night League, have a good afternoon.